Welcome to lecture 13 of thin film deposition module, and in this we will continue our discussion on chemical vapor deposition. In the previous lecture we had looked at how the reactor geometry and wafer placement plays a role in determining how the uniformity of the thin film on one wafer or across many wafers will look like. So, that gives us an idea how to design our reactor. We also looked at how the reaction can be controlled into two different regimes or the deposition rate, such that it is controlled by either the reaction rate or the mass transfer. So, we have that one additional parameter to adjust, by which we can ensure the uniformity of thin film deposition. Okay. Now, we will look at the thermodynamics of the reaction and how that thermodynamics plays a vital role in determining that what temperature and how to tune our reactions to have a good uniformity and control over thin film deposition. Okay. So, in this lecture we will talk about mostly thermodynamics of the reaction. Okay. So, as you can see that thermodynamics of a chemical reaction is important for chemical vapor deposition. Let us say that we have a reaction where A molecules of A and B molecules of B react to give C molecules of C, which is a solid, plus D molecules of D, which is a byproduct, and it goes into gas phase. These both are gases. Okay. So, these are my reactants, this is my product and this is my byproduct. Okay. So, this is what a chemical reaction would look like for a thin film deposition process. Now, important part of this thin film deposition is delta G reaction, the change in free energy for this reaction. Okay. And if we know if the delta G is less than 0 for this reaction, then this reaction will forward in the right direction, okay, towards right. So, more reactants will react to give you product. If delta G for this reaction is greater than 0, then a reversible reaction would happen. Okay. So, you will not get more reaction, you will get less reaction. Okay. And your reactants will remain as reactants, they will not react to give you product. Okay. Now, delta G is a very strong function of temperature. Okay. So, that is why it is very important to understand how the temperature is going to play the role to adjust the reaction rates, okay, and how we can tune the chemistry of the reaction such that we have a control over the reaction rate. Okay. Now, we also know that delta G is given as RT ln K. Okay. So, this is my and K is my reaction rate constant that we had encountered in the previous lecture when we were discussing reaction rate versus mass transport regime. Okay. So, this is my reaction rate constant and it depends on change in free energy. Okay. Now, let us take an example of deposition of yttria using these two gases, okay, yttrium chloride and oxygen. If you react at around 1000 Kelvin, you will get yttria Y2O3, which is solid, forms a thin film, and chlorine is the byproduct. Okay. So, you can use this reaction to design your thin film deposition process. However, the delta G for this reaction is very large and negative, okay, negative very large, which means that for this reaction it will proceed towards right very fast, because K is K equilibrium is positive 13. So, you will have very fast reaction. Fast reaction means fast deposition of the thin film. Once you have very fast deposition of thin film, you are not able to control two things. You are not able to control deposition rate or thickness of the film, and you are not able to control morphology. Okay. So, we do not want my reaction to happen very fast, we want it to happen at a slow rate, so that we can control and stop whenever we want. Okay. So, slow deposition rates are preferred. Now, we can also use a substitute of these gases in terms of yttrium borate or yttrium iodide. We can replace this yttrium chloride gas by these two, but these make matter worse. Okay. They make this reaction rate go even faster. Okay. Now, what can be done? That we can control this source of oxygen, and how we can do that? We can use another reaction for supply of oxygen. We can use carbon dioxide gas. Okay. And at that temperature around 1000 Kelvin, this will dissociate into carbon monoxide and oxygen. Okay. And this reaction has a delta G which is positive. Okay. Now, the overall reaction, if we combine these two reactions, becomes this at 1000 Kelvin. Okay. This reaction becomes this, for which the delta G is still very positive, which means the reaction will not proceed towards right, resulting in yttria. Okay. So, now we want the delta G to be negative, but very small number. What we can do is, now we can replace this yttrium chloride with yttrium bromide gas and use the same reaction such that we are again delta G is negative. Okay. Once delta G is negative again, then we can, and is smaller than this number, then we can use this to design our reaction for thin film deposition. Okay. So, this is an example of how you tune the reaction chemistry and thermodynamics to suit your purpose. This delta G should be small and negative. Okay. So, that is my example 1. Okay. Now, let us have a look at another example in which we are using silane gas, SiCl or tetrachlorosilane, to deposit silicon. Okay. Now, it is found then when you have this reduction of silane tetrachloride with hydrogen, you will not only form silicon, you will have many other species. Okay. This is experimentally observed. There are many things that will happen. This silicon tetrachloride will react with silicon. This is a straightforward reaction. However, you will also find that you have trichlorosilane, dichlorosilane, chlorosilane, dichlorosilicon, and this silane. Okay. So, all these 6 plus hydrogen, 7 gases are found in the reactor when you start with just silicon tetrachloride. Okay. Because in some reactions silicon tetrachloride will react with hydrogen to give you SiHCl3 plus hydrogen and chlorine. Okay. So, this reaction will also happen inside the reactor in the gas phase. So, you will have all these gaseous species present. Okay. And their based on their reaction rate constants can be defined using these equations. Okay. Reaction rate constants are nothing but the concentration or activities on the product divided by activities of the reactant. Activities of gases are in terms of their partial pressures, and activity of solid as can be assumed to be 1. Okay. Activity of silicon can be assumed to be 1. Okay. So, we have different reaction rate constant for this, and which given which are defined by the delta G of the reaction, or the change in free energy for that reaction at a given temperature T. Okay. So, we have the, so this is delta G1, delta G2, delta G3, G4, delta G5 and delta G6. Okay. So, we have these change in free energy for these reactions, and which we can convert into reaction rate constant. Reaction rate constants are depend on the partial pressure of these gases according to these expressions. Now, we also know, so we have 7 gases, okay, 7 gases, 6 are listed here, and the 7th one would be hydrogen. Okay. We want to know how much of these gases are present at a given temperature T. Okay. We know how much silane we are flowing in at what pressure, and how much hydrogen we have. We know these two constants, but we do not know how the other gases, the concentration of other gases will change with temperature. Okay. So, we can use this information to calculate that. Also, since we have 7 unknowns, we need 7 equations. We have these 6 equations, and the 7th equation is this, that sum of all partial pressure is the total pressure P which in the reactor, which is known. Okay. So, we had two things, we know how much silane or silane tetrachloride we are flowing in, and how much hydrogen we are flowing in, we know that, and we know the total pressure inside the chamber. So, we can control these two, but we do not know how after reactions at a given temperature, how the concentration profile for different gases or partial pressure profile will look like. Okay. To get that, we can use calculations to solve this. Okay. Now, in the next figure, let us look at the implication of this these calculations. Okay. So, first thing to notice is that our partial pressure of hydrogen is very high. Okay. So, P is equal to 1 atmosphere. Almost all the pressure inside the chamber is hydrogen, and my reaction is described in that way. What we also know, that what is chlorine to hydrogen ratio, right, because we have silane silicon tetrachloride coming in my reactor, and so SiCl4 and hydrogen, these are two inputs to reactor. Okay. So, from this we can know that what is Cl by H ratio. Okay. Now, after calculating what are the partial pressures of gases inside the chamber, we can convert that into silicon by Cl ratio in gas phase. Okay. Because chlorine to hydrogen will remain constant. Okay. All the chlorine will be in gas phase, all the hydrogen will remain in gas phase. Silicon, however, will be in gas phase as different gases, but also will be in solid phase as thin film. Okay. So, from the partial pressure of the gases, we can calculate silicon to chlorine in the gas phase after we go through these calculations. Okay. And we can calculate these partial pressures of different gases. Then we can calculate how much is the silicon to chlorine ratio in gas phase. Okay. And from this we can judge what is happening inside the reactor. Okay. Now, let us have a look at this. At a very low temperatures, okay, my silicon to chlorine ratio in the gas phase is very high, right. If the silicon is high in the gas phase, which means we are not getting deposition of the silicon, right. We want silicon to be in the solid phase, not in the gas phase for deposition. So, if you see how these different pressures change with temperature, so you can design your reaction around 1100 degree C such that your silicon in the gas phase starts to reduce. So, this is your lower boundary, and then you can have this region where your reaction takes place. Okay. So, silicon to chlorine in gas phase. Okay. So, as silicon content in gas phase goes down, which means that you are getting more and more silicon deposition. Okay. And if you lower the temperature, then your silicon in gas phase goes up for the same silane to hydrogen ratio, which means you can also etch away the silicon which is deposited on the on your substrate. Okay. So, when you are depositing silicon, you are doing this deposition and etching simultaneously, and you can adjust your reactions by controlling either the temperature or the input, which are to silicon chloride and hydrogen. Okay. So, this is how thermodynamics plays a very important role in how to decide about your chemical vapor deposition process. Okay. So far we have been whatever process we are doing at 1 atmosphere and maybe at a slightly lower pressure. Okay. So, the total pressure in this case was 1 atmosphere. However, we can also use low pressure CVD. Okay. Now, how does low pressure CVD help? Remember that our diffusion coefficient was proportional to 1 over P. Diffusivity in gas phase was proportional to 1 over P, right. And if the diffusivity is higher, then we are working in the reaction rate control. Okay. D is high or mass transfer is high, then we are into reaction rate control. If we have reaction rate control, which is determined by temperature primarily, and we can control temperature to very uniformly to a very large accuracy. Okay. We can control the temperature up to 0.1 degree C accuracy. Okay. So, temperature control we have, we can design our system with very high precision temperature control, but mass transfer it is another thing. So, we want to keep high diffusivity, and for high diffusivity we need to lower the pressure. Okay. So, some of the problems with APCVD, which is atmospheric pressure CVD, chemical vapor deposition, are low deposition rates. Okay. Remember that when we were discussing Hagen-Poiseuille equation, in the volumetric flow rate was proportional to pressure gradient. Okay. If we have lower pressures, then inside the chamber, so this pressure gradient is from the inlet inside the, so this is inlet pressure P1 and P2 inside the chamber. So, P1 minus P2 is your delta P, right. So, by decreasing P2 you can increase the pressure gradient. So, more volumetric flow rate inside the chamber. Okay. You have more volumetric flow rate and simultaneously you have higher diffusivity. So, both your bulk flow and your diffusivity has increased. Okay. So, your mass transfer has increased, okay, which will result in film thickness uniformity if you control temperature uniformly. Okay. Now, this atmospheric pressure CVD also has poor step coverage, which means suppose if you have a feature like this on your substrate, Okay. So, atmospheric pressure will not result in deposition like this. Okay. It will not cover the entire this recess in the substrate, okay, because your mass transfer is not high enough, reaction rate is faster. Okay. But if your mass transfer is high, then you will have uniform deposition. Okay. So, this is a problem which is overcome in LPCVD. With high pressure or atmospheric pressure CVD, you are also flowing in lot of gases, okay, because to maintain the same deposition rate. And when your flow rates are high, not the volumetric flow rate, but the flow rates are high for the same deposition rate, then you will have large contamination because you had not pumped down or removed the residual gases and large number of defects. Okay. So, in this way your LPCVD process is an improvement over atmospheric pressure CVD, okay, and it results in better uniformity and better purity of thin films. Now, let us also look at another variant of CVD, which is called PECVD, plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition. Remember that when we were discussing sputtering process, we had described plasma, okay, and plasma was consisting of ions, electrons, neutral species, and these ions also provide an excited species of the reactants. Okay. So, how does this help? Suppose we are using a reaction for deposition of let us take an example of nitride. Okay. So, if we are depositing silicon nitride Si using SiH4 plus let me yes 4 NH3 and H3, this is 3 silane, 4 NH3, both are gases, and you are doing this reaction to deposit silicon Si3N4, which is dielectric film on your silicon substrate, and you will get 12 hydrogen. Okay. Now, this reaction happens at around 700 degrees C. Okay. Now, suppose you want to deposit this silicon nitride on a glass. Glass has a melting temperature or glass transition temperature around 400 to 500 degrees C. Okay. So, you cannot go beyond that temperature with the glass substrate. Okay. So, what do? We can use the PECVD process in which the same reaction can happen at a much lower temperature around 300 degrees C. Okay. Now, why would that happen? Because in plasma you have excited reactive species. Okay. You have excited reactive species mainly namely the molecules of silane and ammonia, which will react at much lower temperature. Okay. Because your the energy to break the bonds of these and keep this nitrogen and silicon in excited state where they react more readily is happened by plasma. Okay. So, in this way we can use plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition to lower the temperature of for many reactions. Okay. And we can even do some of these deposition down to 50 degrees C. Okay. The processes have been developed to deposit silicon nitride down to below 50 degrees C, less than 50 degrees C temperatures. Okay. So, by using this PECVD process, we can lower the reaction temperature because the energy that was supposed to be coming from the temperature is now coming from plasma. Okay. This has one added benefit. We do not need to keep our substrate at high temperature. This is my substrate at high temperature. If my substrate is high temperature, for the reaction then we also have temperature related modifications in the surface or in the growing film. Okay. Suppose I have something some previous processes or thin films which I do not want to expose to high temperature. Okay. So, if we can lower the temperature, we can also use we will benefit from that. Secondly, we can also use this bombardment of ions, right. Ions are present, so they will be constantly bombarding the growing film. We can adjust the parameters of deposition such that these bombardments of ions on the growing film will make the film more denser and more uniform. Okay. So, these are some added benefits of plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition process. Okay. So, with this we will stop here for this lecture. In the next lecture we will also look at another variant of chemical vapor deposition process, and then from there we will discuss how we can use these processes for a process called epitaxial growth. Okay. Thank you very much.